Hello, welcome back to the Waffle Press podcast. I'm your host, Diego Crespo. Here today with me is Gina Versa.
Hello, how's it going?
Pretty good, and especially because the Oscars were good this year. I wouldn't say like the show was like the most entertaining it's ever been, but I would say the show was pretty entertaining in its own right too.
Yeah,
Uh,
no one bobbed anything,
yeah.
right?
Although I will,
Whoops.
no one's ever gonna forget that. Like that was, I'm kind of glad that happened because now it's a part
Yeah,
of film history. Uh,
right.
And I know some people are saying like, "Oh, well, this was the safest Oscars ever because you kind of knew it was going to win." And I would say
Mhm.
like for the acting stuff, maybe. And I think that
Okay.
goes to show like what people only really pay attention to, like if they're casual viewers, because
Mhm.
everything else was kind of up in the air, you know.
Yeah,
I mean, what,
I
what
think
would you
so.
say?
Yeah, it was just on the ceremony or just the winners or the
Winners. Ceremonies, I think were fun.
yeah.
I was thoroughly entertained while I was watching the Oscars, and that was before I got drunk. So
Yeah, I felt like it was a very close race. Everything that won, I mean, you couldn't like for sure bet it, like the odds weren't just like given for like a certain film. Um, a lot of films, you didn't know who was going to win. Didn't see Sam Rockwell win.
really,
Um,
okay. Before we get into the acting thing, because I think that's where it was clear who was going to win because the cast of
mhm.
Three Billboards basically won every acting award this award season. But what were the biggest surprises for you then?
The biggest surprises, well, let me see, Sam Rockwell. I think Best Actor for Gary Oldman because everyone loves makeup apparently, and not Daniel Day Lewis.
No, no. Here's the thing about the acting awards: if you're
Uh-huh.
cursing a lot and you're yelling a lot
Uh-huh.
and you have a lot of makeup,
Makeup.
you're
Yeah.
acting. And that's what people go to. I mean, that's what ended up winning Leonardo DiCaprio the Oscar because he
Right.
had to struggle to survive on like a hellish film shoot and they just happened to
Mhm.
catch it on camera, you know?
Right. Cinematography surprised me because I wasn't trusting that they would acknowledge Roger Deakins, his great cinematic achievements in Blade Runner and other films and keep overlooking them. Another surprise was probably best adapted screenplay. I, uh, you know, I had a feeling they were going to pass on Call Me by Your Name, and you kept seeing like all these Hollywood Reporter articles about some Academy voters where like we gave it to a gay romance film last year, and it's comments like that. So I was glad that it won. So
Yeah, because like that stupid ass bullshit mentality, like, well, we gave it to a gay and black film last year, you know? Like we shouldn't have to resort to like fuck
right.
you. Like, oh my God.
Mm,
Like
mm.
how far up your own ass does your head have to be to say some stupid shit like that?
I don't know. I guess when you're anonymous and someone's interviewing you.
And you're just like a bigot. A little disappointed that Logan lost, only because it didn't really get any other big nominations.
Yeah, it was just that. I would have liked to see Patrick Stewart, I think, for Best Supporting Actor.
That was bullshit. I love Sam Rockwell. I don't like Three Billboards,
Yeah.
um, but
I don't
I
like it as
like
well.
him enough that I could accept it as like a legacy award. You know?
I guess so. I mean, I don't really care for that character. I mean, I don't think he's that like strong as a character. He just goes from like incredibly racist to like not as racist.
It's a big like emotional
He's
turn the
on Villains
character has to
Wiki.
go through. And I think
Yeah,
Sam Rockwell sells it. I don't think the writing or the direction sell it. So I
yeah.
can get that.
Ends on Villains Wiki, so that says a lot.
Yeah, yeah. Um that just to touch on three billboards really quick because I think it's kind of important to get like where the vitriol's come from lately after it was released.
Yes.
It tackles race and gender politics in America in a way that feels very dissonant than what's actually prevalent in America. And
Yeah.
like for me, that's part of the problem. But also, I just don't think it's that well made of a movie.
Well,
So
I don't know. I think the tone of that film, when you look back at it after watching, really suffers because it's handling serious issues, but then it's like really fantastical. at times.
Yeah, and it's bizarre, and
I don't think it's like
Martin
that.
McDonough is such a talented filmmaker and writer. I was really caught off guard by how little I actually liked that movie. So, but that's neither here nor there. That's yeah, the acting stuff. I'm like Frances McDormand, another great performer
Uh-huh.
who probably does deserve an Oscar. So like whatever, just give her this one. Uh,
Mhm. Fusion
and
Red.
she curses. I was shocked they used the deer clip because that is like the one across the board. Everyone was kind of like, yeah, I like the movie, but I don't know about that scene.
Maybe someone snuck it in there.
I know. It's like as a final dig. And then like Gary Oldman too. Uh, if you start reading about him as a person, you kind of wish maybe he didn't win. And then Winston Churchill as well, obviously, a garbage human being who
Winston.
happened to pull Britain through a very tough
Yeah.
time in its history.
Yeah, he's very romanticized, but yeah, he was definitely problematic.
Yeah. Um, and I think Gary Oldman is good in it.
Hmm.
I don't think he's awful in Darkest Hour.
I still haven't seen Darkest Hour. That's the only
Okay.
one. I don't really have like a great desire to see it.
Yeah.
Like I'll catch it on HBO. It's one of those films.
Yeah. It definitely is. But for me, we'll get to the really big ones that made me very happy. And again, Coco was a no-brainer. Otherwise, I think we'd talk about that more.
Hmm.
Just how wonderful it was to see that presentation and everything. Fun fact: I found out I had a friend who was in
Hmm.
the song and dance display at the Oscars,
Oh
and
yeah.
so that was like the coolest thing ever. I have a friend
Hmm.
who's part of cinematic history now.
Hmm.
But the first big award that made me so happy, I think, was Roger Deakins for cinematography because he's been snubbed 13 times and he finally won in the 14th one.
Yeah, right. 14th
Yay!
time is the charm.
Yeah, really. And everything else that was nominated was very good. I'm glad Mudbound got nomination,
Hmm.
uh, especially Rachel Morrison, the first woman nominated for best cinematography.
Hmm.
Darkest Hour, like that movie is so bland looking. Like I'm not gonna shit talk that one, but
Yeah. It's the darkest hour.
yeah, it's you can make drab look riveting. Like I really like the look of
Oh,
Spotlight for that movie, for example. You know,
yeah.
but I don't know. 2049, what Roger Deakins did, like if you look at like his lighting setups and like how the style tells the story, like there's a lot of complaints are always about like, oh well, it's just style over substance. Like with movies, style is the substance.
Uh-huh.
More often than not, I think sometimes it could be empty, but here it's just like it takes everything he's ever learned about cinematography and then he just puts it in like his biggest production ever, and it's essentially like the most expensive art house movie ever made, and it is oh my gosh, I was so happy.
Mhm. Yeah, he's gonna. Yeah, I don't know. I'm glad he finally got the award. He definitely deserved it after losing 14 times. But you know, I'm really interested to see what he does next because he can't really surpass that. He's just going to retire to his boat. Apparently, he has a boat.
That's actually really cool. I like yeah, I was thinking that too. Like after Blade Runner 2049 and this massive production, and like I what do you even do after that? And I guess his next film is The Goldfinch, directed by John Crowley. John
Mhm.
Crowley is the director of Brooklyn, a movie I really love.
Yeah.
And so I didn't even know this was in the works. So I was looking forward to whatever he did next. And Roger Deakins is
Mhm.
DPing. So I'm really looking forward to that. I I, I imagine it'll be on a much smaller production level, but that's okay
Yeah.
because he's a talented director of photography, and John Crowley is a very talented director. For best adapted screenplay, Call Me by Name, we kind of talked about that already, but a good win definitely. And then best original screenplay, I think we were very happy because we just did our commentary on Get Out,
Yeah.
and we're talking about how the writing and like, everything about that movie is pretty fucking remarkable. But
Hmm.
I'm glad it got recognized for the writing because it's even though it's a genre picture, it's very nuanced in like how it approaches racial politics and identity.
Hmm.
You feel like what did you think of that original screenplay category?
Yeah, no, Get Out totally deserved to win. I wish Jordan Peele credited his uncredited screenwriter, star Magic Jackson Jr. He totally did a draft of that after Gremlins 2. But yeah, that film. I feel probably watching it the third time, still noticing things I didn't notice the second or first viewing of it, and seeing a lot of subtlety and the message is trying to get across. And I think that really goes to its writing and its execution. So I really feel that film deserved to win. Do you see P reacting to it?
Yeah, that was so heartwarming because I mean, there's not only are they collaborators, but they're like such good friends in real
Yeah.
life that it's nice to see them support each other. And
Mm-hmm. They went from Mad TV to this.
yeah, they went from Mad TV to one of arguably the best comedy shows ever, Key and Peele,
Mm-hmm.
and then now they're off fighting predators and getting Oscars. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Um, Oh, okay. And this made me very happy. As you know, I'm a big fan of Beyond Skyline. The director Liam O'Donnell had tweeted out a
Okay.
couple years ago, Jordan Peele's gonna get an Oscar someday.
Mm-hmm.
And then that tweet started making the rounds again on Oscar night because he just
Yeah.
won, and it was like, wow, that's incredible foresight. And I guess he was explaining, the director of Beyond Skyline, just that like, look, a guy who's that talented in that industry, like they're not gonna not get recognized for their
Mm-hmm.
like for their talent and their achievements that they're gonna do one day. Like Jordan Peele is just a guy who's like he's just got it. Like some people have it, some people need to work for it, and some people unfortunately don't. But he's someone that we're gonna have our eyes on for a very long time, and I cannot wait to continue seeing that.
Yes.
Um, Best actor, best supporting actress, or best actress we already talked about, but best supporting actress went to Allison Janney for I, Tonya, and I get it.
Mm-hmm.
And Allison Janney, also remarkable actress. So
Mm-hmm.
like these awards, it's more like I have issue with the movie and the writing around them than I do the performer. So like I don't really feel unhappy with any of these wins. I'm just like, well, I kind of wish yada yada.
Right.
Um, and Allison Janney curses and yells a lot in the movie,
Mm-hmm.
and so of course she was going to get it. Though I really wanted Laurie Metcalf to get it for Lady Bird because I think that's a more complex performance and a more
Yeah,
complex character.
a bit. Yeah, I believe so. I mean, it was more nuanced, I feel, but I don't know if it was better because
Yeah,
I
no,
don't
I
know.
would
She.
say hands down Laurie Metcalf's performance and just her role in the movie. I think that's why I prefer her more
Mm-hmm.
to have won because she's so essential to the narrative of that movie and the heart of that movie,
Yeah.
and the way she sells it with the writing and the direction
Mm-hmm.
is it feels more like it's in unison. Where in I,
Yeah.
Tonya, everything feels like a needle drop, if you know what I mean, especially if you've seen the movie.
Yeah. I mean, for sure. I kind of
Mm.
liked the needle drops. So.
I like needle drops too, but it's kind of like looking back at Wolf of Wall Street and being like, man, that was such a great biopic. Man, everything
Mm-hmm.
sure likes to copy it after that. And I mean, if you're
Yeah.
gonna make a biopic, I'd rather you riff on Wolf of Wall Street than like any other one. So
Right.
mixed feelings about the acting categories this year. Everything else I really like though, and I guess let's talk about the big two now: best
Mm-hmm.
director and best picture. We could talk about them at the same time because Guillermo del Toro won both of them,
Yeah.
and I was so
Yeah.
happy.
Yeah. No, I was very happy to see real GDT win.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Totoro-san.
Yeah. 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 He has many nicknames.
Many, and they're all adorable. And I've talked about this a lot before, where like at the end of the day, movies that are important to you are more important than anything.
Mm-hmm.
Like you don't need awards to validate your feelings. Your favorite movie could be fucking I don't know Birdman or something. I'd be like, whatever it means to you is more important than whatever I have to say or anyone else.
Mm-hmm.
And for award shows too, it's like uh, I always like to quote Parks and Recreation, Ron Swanson when he says. Awards are stupid, but they'd be less stupid if they went to the right people.
Yeah.
And this really feels like that, much like the year before with Moonlight,
Mhm.
and the Best Picture, Best Director split with Moonlight and La La Land.
Mhm.
Um, you could argue the merits of both, but like it feels like they went to the correct choices for the most part. And someone who's just like as lovable and as kind and like creatively exciting as GDT,
Yeah.
it's so nice to have that recognized, And he's making these weird movies. He's not making safe movies. He's making movies that are personal to him and
Mhm.
weird and bizarre, and it's nice to see that kind of creativity recognized because
Yeah.
it was. We also got to remember it was between Shape of Water and Pacific Rim 2 for him to make next, and he
Mhm.
chose The Shape of Water.
Yeah. I'm glad he chose the Shape of Water, and I already saw Pacific Rim too, and it was good, but I feel like this was more creatively better for him, than doing another Pacific Rim and kind of. I wouldn't say it's like playing it safe, but you always have to push yourself.
Yeah, well,
And
also remember the new Pacific Rim is very different from what he wanted to do because
Mhm.
he just has a story credit. Everything else was changed after his draft.
Yeah.
But
Well,
yeah,
I
no,
already
I
saw it.
agree. Well, yeah, but I have to censor that out because the thing is not up yet.
Yeah.
Um, but he's gone on a record as saying like he looks at movies that he wants to do, and
Hmm.
then he looks at movies that need him to make them. No one
Right.
else would have made Shape of Water. Not only just because it was his idea, but he couldn't like pass that on. Like Pacific Rim 2, I think it's a good point you bring up where like he didn't need to do that movie. That movie
Hmm.
could have had anyone to do it by that point because Pacific Rim is such a beloved movie by
Yeah.
a lot of people, Not everyone, but a lot of people. And it didn't need him anymore. Like
Mhm.
that franchises could live or die without him.
Right.
Uh Stuff like At the Mountains of Madness perhaps needs him. Anyone out there
Yeah.
who has $150 million to loan?
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, Shape of Water, that
Good
was a
Kickstarter for it.
Del Toro movie, and it only he could have made it as romantic
Hmm.
and beautiful and sad and touching as he could have. Like it's all him on the screen, and that's a really wonderful feeling to celebrate.
Hmm.
Hypothetically, if this hadn't won, what would you have liked to win? Best director and best
Well,
picture.
I would. Hmm, I'd probably go to like Jordan Peele, I guess, for best director, and Get Out for best picture. Um, mainly, again, if you look at that film and just the way he got all his ideas across and had this message that really resonated with many people. He did an excellent job as being a director, and I still like Lady Bird. Still like Greta Gerwig, but it just kind of edged it out a little for me in his ability to direct this film.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like, well, apart from Darkest Hour and Three Billboards, I think I brought it up before. It's a very, very good category of Best Picture nominees this year. Any one of them could have taken it. I would have been like, I would have been at least happy or satisfied with them.
Yeah, for sure.
Get Out and Lady Bird though were probably the ones I would have liked to have seen if Shape of Water hadn't won.
Yeah,
Um, Yeah, and Jordan Peele and Greta Gerwig will continue to do great things. Paul Thomas Anderson lost another Best Director award,
right.
but I think it says something that the Academy hasn't forgotten him throughout
Mhm.
every movie he's made, with the exception of like Inherent Vice, which is kind of
Right,
unfortunate if you ask me. Um,
right.
and Christopher Nolan, he's Christopher Nolan. He is a brand. He
Yeah,
he
no,
he's
I'm
not
sure
going
he'll be
anywhere
fine.
either.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll be fine.
Yeah, they'll both survive, and then they'll make some weird movies that somehow get a lot of attention because people like their work. You know,
Mhm. Yeah,
I think that's my big takeaway from this is for the best director category this year.
definitely.
It's such a beautiful lineup. It's only 5 people, but these are all really
Yeah,
creative artists who made really personal movies to them, and they
yeah. There
all got
wasn't.
nominated.
There wasn't like a bad director or someone that was less deserving of the nomination in the whole bunch. And
Yeah,
just going off of that, I really was disliking. I feel like there was people were like pitting them against each other, like this person deserves it more than that person, um, and I was getting really annoyed by that. I don't know if it's worth mentioning.
no, I think it is worth mentioning because I want to take a look at the best directors. Greta Gerwig is unfortunately the only woman nominated, but that's
Mhm.
not to take away from the talented men involved. And it is important
Yeah,
to keep highlighting women's voices in film and in all
yeah,
parts of the world, in all industries. Um, but when people say like, oh, like all the directors are white, it's
hmm
like, well, fucking
yeah.
no. Guillermo del Toro, he might be white passing for a Latino, but he's Mexican. He's an
Yeah.
immigrant.
I don't know. It felt like very reductive to kind of like just see them like as men, you know, in this category because
It,
they're
it's important
person.
stuff to bring up, and
Yeah,
but it is reductive, you know, or
yeah.
it's like I this is a more nuanced topic, so forgive me if I kind of hop around it a little bit, but like a lot of white women will often call
Mhm.
out like, oh, there's like only one woman, but they won't like often, more often than not, unfortunately, there might not be as much
Mhm.
relevance to them to highlight women of color's voices as well, which is something
Yeah,
that still needs to get worked on.
it's saying like
You
a
know?
lot of intersexuality, the kind of the statements, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's not
Mhm.
intersectional feminism; it's white feminism.
Yeah,
Intersectional feminism is where it's at. That
yeah.
needs to be the
You
the, the
think?
relevant topic.
Great.
That's why I like
Yeah.
Frances McDormand's comment with
Mhm.
inclusion writers.
Yeah, no, that was very thoughtful of her.
Yeah,
And Greta Gerwig seemed like she was like she was happy to get the recognition, and she was. I think did she hug Del Toro at some point, or they were like
I'm sure
cool?
she did because like
Yeah,
all the best directors, they spend the award circuit basically together every week, and so
mhm,
they all get to know each other pretty well. And
yeah,
they I think they cut to her when he was giving him his acceptance speech, and she just mouthed like "I love him" or something like that. Like she was so touched to watch
right.
someone she respects and cares about win the award. And Del Toro has shown on many occasions that he does the same thing. Like,
Yeah, for the people, and I would want to hug him. He seems very cuddly.
oh my God, I want to give him the biggest hug. Like not just because he's made movies I love, but because he seems like such a good guy.
Mhm. And he's
Yeah.
totally cuddly.
Yeah. So, final thoughts on the 90th Academy Awards. Anything you want to mention, Jimmy Kimmel wise, performance wise, any other categories we skimmed over because there's a lot, and we're not going to spend 3.5 hours talking about them.
Yeah. Let me think for a second. I was Darkest Hour. I know it was a very makeup heavy film, but are you glad it won for best makeup and hairstyling, considering they skipped on Star Trek Beyond?
Uh, I'm not glad Darkest Hour won. I am glad that a Japanese special makeup effects and visual artist won.
Mm.
I really hope I don't butcher this name. Uh, Kazuhiro Suji.
Yes, that's
Uh,
correct.
I'll talk shit about the performance being all in the makeup. I will not talk shit about the makeup because it's very good. Like,
Yeah,
sometimes you could tell like, oh, they're just wearing like a fat suit or like they're wearing like extensive like chin wear. Um, it's very good in Darkest Hour. So I will accept it. It's not Suicide Squad winning and everyone being
yeah,
like,
no,
wait, what the fuck?
yeah,
You
that's what I
know?
was. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah. Here's a minor upset for me, or not minor because this is actually a pretty big one. Even though I love Blade Runner 2049, Guardians of the Galaxy 2, Star Wars: The Last Jedi, War for the Planet of the Apes didn't win Best Visual Effects,
Mhm. Yeah,
and
that's.
I get that
Mhm,
there's been two movies prior to this with photorealistic monkeys, but
mhm,
those didn't win either. So
yeah.
what
Well,
the hell, guys?
yeah, they're. I don't know. They were like. I don't know. Blade Runner. The effects were great. But I mean, you know, War for the Planet of the Apes. If you look at the rain on the apes fur and everything, that's pretty incredible. And even Kong Skull Island, where Kong felt very like so rendered in his back, in the background, they felt like he was actually there.
I'll disagree with that. I have major issues with how Kong is portrayed in that, specifically in terms of scale. But like, how did you? I cannot comprehend the mentality about voiding the Apes movies for a third time.
Mhm.
You know, and especially in the later part of the film when they're in the snow. And
Yeah,
it's like trickling on their fur, and it's baffling. That is like a Stanley Kubrick omission level bad for me.
yeah. Well, maybe they just don't like apes.
Yeah, I
Ape.
guess I guess not. I don't know. Maybe a future Apes movie will come along and they'll win for that. But who
Yeah,
fucking knows?
yeah, but yeah. Besides that, yeah, sound mixing, sound editing. Dunkirk, clearly was the most well-crafted, technical film in terms of those two categories, and put a lot of good work into that. So
There
happy with
was a
that.
lot of good work into that, but hang on, Baby Driver.
Yeah, no, Baby Driver was good, but like, did Baby Driver make you feel like tense for like an hour and 30 where you were like
Well, it's not
at the
trying to make you do that. It's trying to do something
yeah,
else.
but no, I mean it's trying to make you do something else, but like it didn't give you that
Well,
extreme emotion.
I don't. I think that's subjective. I love both movies a lot, so I'm okay with Dunkirk winning. Just I don't
Yeah,
feel that it was that easy to like overlook Baby Driver. If
we'll leave it at that.
no,
Okay. So in memoriam, I was very annoyed that Adam West was excluded and Tobe
Adam
Hooper.
West, yeah, Adam West and Tobe Hooper. What the fuck?
Yeah, I mean,
That is unforgivable.
yeah, you
Especially
know,
because they show a clip from Texas Chainsaw Massacre earlier in the show.
that was that like, oh, they thought like, oh, that's good enough.
I don't know, man. Like they showed his work. It's the work he's most known for and arguably his best.
Hmm.
But I don't know if you don't name the man, like
Right.
that's yeah, that was shady. That was a bummer.
I don't. Yeah, I mean, it was and the Adam West thing too. Like, where they like, oh, he's a TV actor or something. I mean, still a cultural icon of an actor, and excluding him was really stupid.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I can kind of get the mentality like, well, he was mostly in TV, but I mean,
No,
he was in the first
still,
Batman movie, the first
yeah,
official Batman movie.
hmm
So,
yeah, no, it's still, and
yeah.
Powers Booth too.
Oh my God, wait, did he die last year? I thought he died the year before.
He died, yeah, May 14th, 2017.
Oh no. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. I get it's hard to fill everyone, but those three specifically
Mhm.
have made their marks multiple times over.
Yeah.
So, not not a great look.
Yeah.
I
But yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, we're
and
kind of ending on a downer note.
well, I mean, for every like good thing they excluded like the Godzilla suit actor that you wouldn't expect to be in there, or like George. It's cool that they had George Romero, or again the actor who is Godzilla, or other choices that they did. They still kind of people like John Hurt. You know, it's still. I wish they would include everyone. So
Yeah, like I don't want them to have omitted anyone in their place. I just wish they were
yeah,
all there. I mean, it was a almost 4 hour version of the Oscars already. So like, what the hell?
yeah, I'm sure there was time.
Yeah, and even if there wasn't, it's fine. They've gone longer, and it's been more boring and less satisfying. So I think it's a testament to the rest of the show being like, hey, this was pretty good, guys. So it's kind of a bummer ratings were down this year, but like also no one watches TV the same way they did before.
Yeah, I mean it's all streaming, and it's
Yeah.
not because of like, oh, it's too political or something. It's because it's not the uh, preferred way of watching media anymore on a television through cable. So
Yeah, true that, true that.
of
Last thing before, because we got to wrap up now.
course,
Kobe Bryant won an Oscar, and
yeah.
you were talking about that like all week before the show. So how does that make
Uh,
you feel?
I mean, as a Lakers fan, I think that's cool. I mean, Shaq doesn't have an Oscar. And I haven't seen the film, but I heard it's very good. People have told me it's good, and it's someone put the it came off his spoken word poem about basketball, which was a very deep poem about how he felt playing the game, and he loved basketball so much, and he got sponsored to make it to moving animation, and he's good friends with John Williams, who did the score for it. So yeah, I really want to. I want to know more about that movie.
Yeah, I really want to see that too because I had a friend telling me we were watching the show together, and they were telling me that it was incredible, and I didn't know John Williams scored it either until they announced it
Yes.
during the show, and I was like, "Wait, what the fuck?"
Yeah. Well,
Like that felt like someone dropped a bomb on my lap.
John Williams surprised you though, because he did the NFL theme, he does the Olympics theme. You know, he does like every single theme.
Yeah, well,
But
he's
you
so
know,
fucking
good.
good at it.
Yeah, no, for sure. Good for Kobe because it's like, what does Shaq have in movies? Steel, the movie where
Shazam,
Shazam,
or is
where
it Kablam?
no, it's Kazam is the Mandela effect of that film. But well, I was gonna say Steel, where he free throws a bomb out of a window,
Yeah.
and he would not make that free throw in real life.
No,
They would
that's
all
the end of
die.
the movie. He dies.
They all die. So
Yeah.
good
All
on.
right,
Yeah.
Gene, thank you for joining me on this Oscar talk. You recommended we do this, and I thought it was a good idea. So good on you for putting the initiative forward because we probably would have missed this window. Where can
I'm
the people
also
find
glad for
you?
myself. G9892, Twitter and Instagram.
All right, you can find me at DEWGO Waffles, Lawful Press, all links down below. Check out our Patreon so we can do more shows more regularly. Check out our Get Out review if you have access to Patreon. It'll be up at the same time this is up, probably even before. So thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. We have been professionally unprofessional.